All right. I'm going to get my fingers up and we're going to remember those images from earlier. What did we see earlier? Flower, clock, cloud, chair, water, bird. Beautiful. Well done. So who remembered all of them? All right. And who would like to tell me, that was a lot of hands that were just raised in that crowd. Who would like to share with me what you did to remember them? Anyone? Yes. What did you do?
The order that they were.
Oh, you just remembered the order. Nice. Good. I'm not sure I could have done that. So last week I met with a woman who said she put the flower in the water, then she sat on the chair, and she looked out the window and the clouds were there and the bird was there. Isn't that nice? And for some reason, most groups forget the clock. I don't know why. It's just not very nice to look at, maybe? Yeah. So who forgot the clock? Anyone? Oh, there we go. Quite a few hands. All right. So let's create an action plan. From what I talked to you about this afternoon, can you think of one thing that you'll start doing differently? Who's going to go to a different grocery store? Oh, one person. Can you think of one thing? Drink water. Love it. Thank you. Exercise more. Thank you. I really hope that you do. I hope that you hold true to that. Now, how can you encourage other people to keep their brains healthy? Can you think of anything in your group setting that you live in? Set an example. I love that. That's great. Set an example. Invite them to join you, because if you invite them to join you, then you're being social and you're making those connections, plus you're doing the fitness maybe. Excellent, excellent. All right, I'm going to talk to you now about the Alzheimer's Society services and programs. When I used to work here 25 years ago. I was a baby, right, Pastor Tony? When I worked there 25 years ago, there was only 3 staff. I mean, there was the upper echelon, but there was only 3 staff. And you see all those programs and services listed? We did all of those. Now we have, and because we know it's so needed, 15 social workers on staff. Okay? We also have 3 what's called care navigators under the First Link program. And what I love about this is my favorite program at the Alzheimer's Society. You're assigned a care navigator when you call, and they will go with you throughout the entire journey, from diagnosis to bereavement. Whatever programs or services or supports or questions you have or need, they're there for you. So that's care navigation. Counseling and support groups, not just for family members or caregivers, but for the people who are living with dementia. There's one out in Scarborough on Eglinton for people who have early onset dementia. And they meet together and talk to each other and support each other. We have active living programs with adult day programs. They do, you know, those virtual glasses where you go, they go back to their hometowns and look in those virtual glasses. We do that. Symphonies, we do museum tours, you name it, we've got it. And education and training, so we don't just come into communities like this and talk to seniors or other people. We train PSWs and nurses how to work specifically with people who have dementia, because it's very different than working with someone, you know, who's aged and in long-term care, for example. Our music project, if you know anyone with dementia who would be open to getting a free music player with headphones and 500 of their favorite songs downloaded, then that's the music project for you, free of charge. That's Beautiful program. And then finding your way. Unfortunately, 60% of people who have a dementia diagnosis will get lost throughout the journey, unfortunately. So we have a whole program set up to help with them to not get lost, figure out where they might go. And then we fill in these forms that the police have access to. But I want to let you know the medic alert bracelets that everyone knows? The one that has the blue letters on it means the person has memory loss or dementia. Okay, so I had a friend who found someone at St. George Subway. He looked a little distracted, and she went up and talked to him and introduced herself, and she saw he had the blue bracelet, so then the police could come and help him get home. So just to give you a little heads up about that. So there's our beautiful music project. Anyone who may have dementia or cognitive impairment, and the person who gets it and gives it to them needs to live in the M postal code. But I know someone who gave it to their mom in New Brunswick. Okay. If you think someone might be lost, you want to look at how they're dressed, if they're standing still, if they're looking around for a long period of time or pacing back and forth, repeating the same question, that could be a symptom that they may be lost. And that is basically the PowerPoint presentation, but I'm open to questions if anyone has them in the group now. Excuse me.
Drink water. How much water should one be drinking per day?
I'm not a medical doctor, so you'll need to look that up. He's asking how much water should he drink a day. My understanding is 40 ounces, but I could be very wrong. And some people are saying, yes, they concur.
8 ounces?
8-ounce glasses of water. But again, I would check with my doctor or someone else because...
How many 8 ounces we're talking about?
8?
8.
8.
8 ounces.
8, yes.
8 ounces.
Do we have another question, please? I'm not an expert in water. I just know how important it is. Yes, at the back. Does tea count? No. Tea is a diuretic. It does not count. I'm sorry, I try to do that every day, but it doesn't count. All I know is that if you don't drink enough water, you can become dehydrated and it can mimic dementia. Sorry. Thank you. How do you deal with the mood change? That's a very, very good question. And I can do a whole day seminar on that, but I'm going to give you the short and simple answer. Connect with the person, don't correct the person. Okay? So you really want to talk to that person about how they're feeling and not argue with them. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's how you're going to deal with the mood swings. Don't get me wrong, they're one of the most challenging things to work with and to support. And now it depends what type of dementia the person has, but oftentimes the mood swings can be alleviated through talking to a medical professional. Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir?
Is there a hereditary factor in dementia?
Very good question, and I seem to get that in every group. He asked me if there's a hereditary factor with dementia. There's one type of dementia, it's called familial onset. It usually happens to people who are younger, and it's a very small percentage. It's not, in all the other cases of dementia, it's not familial. Okay, so only a little percentage. Now that's not to say that in your family, you could have vascular issues. So you could have inherited vascular issues. And so that can lead to a form of dementia. But it's not that that dementia is in your family, it's that the vascular issues are in your family. Okay, sorry, yep. She asked me, why would it happen that a parent would seem to turn against one child and not the other? I really can't answer that question without giving you more of a longer perspective on where they might be coming from. There's a lot of changes that happen in the brain. For example, it could simply be that that daughter they don't remember that daughter as being that daughter. Maybe she reminds them at this point in time of someone that they didn't like when they were younger. Maybe she looks like Aunt Mabel, who was super mean to her, right? It could simply be that. And it's not necessarily that they don't like the person. It could be the long-term memory, because we know the short-term memory goes first. So what I had for breakfast, I don't know. But I do remember Aunt Mabel, who was really mean to me, right? Yeah, because those core memories stay. The ones attached to emotion, they last the longest. And anyone else? Yeah? So here's another good question, and it's very similar to what we were talking about earlier. Let's say someone that you know is hiding their possessions and they're blaming you. How do you handle that? Again, their reality is that you're the one who took it or someone else took it. Their reality isn't the same as yours, because remember, there's brain deterioration, right? So they really do think that someone else took that purse. So again, I'm going to say what I said to the woman in the back. Make a connection with them about what they're feeling at that time. Oh my goodness, you lost your purse. I don't know what I'd do if I lost my purse. I'd be so upset. Let's look for it together. So you're not going to argue with her and say, I didn't take your purse. I would never take your purse. Why would I do? How come you're blaming me for taking your purse? Because she doesn't even know that she has dementia necessarily, right? So again, connect and don't correct, don't argue, okay? Yes. So let's say you're in a situation, remember I talked about the man who's in a prayer group and he starts dancing. It can become very embarrassing. And so you may want to weigh the pros and cons of whether you can really handle that at that time and maybe seek some support. Maybe that's not the best place to take that person at that time. Maybe you share different outings or different connections in a different way. At some point, you need to ask yourself, am I taking him out to make myself feel better that I'm giving him something to do? Is it really benefiting him? But again, if that's an issue for you, I would highly suggest that you talk to one of the 15 social workers at the Alzheimer's Society, because the questions you're asking me are exactly what they do all day, every day. And they can give you the most helpful tips and tricks. It's just a simple phone call and they're there for you. Okay? Anything else? She's asking, if someone doesn't enjoy your company when you visit, should you back off? So we're going to have one of our social workers come and speak to your group specifically to the family members of someone who might know someone who has dementia, or a caregiver of someone who is living with someone who has dementia, and they'll really get into details about how to deal with those issues and support that person better. Okay?